Okay, good morning. Last meeting na mo sa I think sa 6 Sunday ito siya, we have discussed kinematics. Sa previous meeting ato sa night na nato ng klase is discussing about friction. And how friction is beneficial to what we do in our daily lives, and how it is also disadvantageous in a sense that it will not give us 100% efficiency on the work that we are going to do. So karon, we try to solve some problems involving an aniya, sagol. By the way, sa previous recording, naisip niya ato sa formula. Ako nakita, upon may review sa video, nalintang usuwat ang 1/2. Minani din eh. Ang formula sa gamiton S is equals to VOT plus minus 1/2 AT squared. Nalintang ang usuwat ang 1/2 sa last video. Or V, final velocity, is equals to the initial velocity plus minus AT, and final velocity squared is just equals to VO squared plus minus 2AS. Kani yun ang tulong ko ng formula sa kinematics. Diya ka na nag-revolve natong mga problems na involve kinematics. Sa ito previous na video, nalimita na kusulat ng 1/2. Anyway, sa kaning first problem, we have attract. Actually, sa last na video, sira na mo ni. But since ato lang ibalik, maklaro ang pag-explain. A truck moving at 100 kilometers per hour carries a steel girder which rests on its wooden floor. What is the minimum time in which the truck can come to a stop without the girder moving forward? The coefficient of static friction between steel and wood is 0.5. Okay? So basically, truck carry o steel girder. Okay? Ang steel girder, of course, klaro kayong made of steel. Then ang floor sa truck, probably made of wood. Kailangan given sa problem. Now, nadaga na siya ang truck, na siya yung velocity, tawag mo na ito ng initial velocity at 100 kph. That is kilometer per hour. Muna yan, usok kayo kadagan, 100 kilometers per hour. Now, what will happen is that kung hunong ang driver, natagitaw ng law of inertia, Newton's first law of motion. Again, let me reiterate, basta ko pa makita sa previous recording, law of inertia or the first law of motion in Newton is that states that an object at rest will remain at rest and an object in motion will continuously move in a straight line with constant speed unless acted upon by a force. But pasabot, ang law of inertia is the tendency of the object to magpabilin sa status quo. Okay. Sa may very good example na niya, again, nari sa video, ang example sa una is, kung sakay tag motor, kabalhapan. Mukalit o padagan ang kabalhapan, sa may hitabo na ito. Mabilin. Why? Because it is a tendency of our body to remain at rest. Kalit mo siya dagan, so nanita mo, nabilin ka. Or nagsakay ka habal-habal, pusok kang gadagan, yung kalit kong brake. So ikaw, kita mo, papakog ka sa driver. No? Or, pwede siya na siya in motion. Gasakay ka o series. Pag-abot ni mo dito sa barili, karkar, ang karsada, galiko-liko. Ngano igliko sa series, padong sa tuong, ngano mo aring tadri, padong sa wala. It's because of inertia. Di ba? Gadagan ka padong dito. Gadagan ang series sa galikod ka. Pero kalit magliko ang series dire. Ang imong tendency sa imong object, you are going padong na. Di kalit magliko, so salita mo pagliko, itakilid ka dire. That is inertia. The tendency of the object to remain in its location or in its position or in its velocity or speed. Okay? So yun na siya. So what I'm trying to say is that kaya siya kung wala siya ikot, kung magdagan ang imong truck, then mukalit siya brake, there is a tendency na kani siya steel builder mulang po along direct. Unya, ang may tabo na noon, mahipit ang driver, mamatay. No, mahipit man siya, matatugan. A steel girder, made of steel. So, what are we trying to do? Aron dili siya mahipit. Hiktan. No, bago man siya hikting, butang naman siya. Atong buhaton is, hinahinay, pag hinahinay tao, brake. Why? Kailangan siya friction dili. Okay. So, let us examine the problem. Mo na problema. Libog kayo. Asa nakita na to, kuwaon. But, we can analyze it kung ato siya i-compartmentalize. Pero, atong tanawon ang steel girder. Ang steel girder, yung anak. Mo niyang wooden floor. What causes the object to move? Na kay force of inertia. Diba? Na siya force of inertia direct. Nagaton. Tawag ko lang ito na o FI. Force of inertia. Na yung makapugong na niya. Kung sa may makapugong na niya, muna siya itong itawag ko frictional force. Force of inertia and frictional force should be equal so that mabalance na siya. Or else, kung is na equal, kita mo ni, either ka na siya mahulog dito, siyempre kami frictional force because this is static friction man siya, hindi mo move. Ang importante niya is which in which the truck comes to a stop, what is the minimum time and so ito ba gusto ang truck na mahunong o dali. Siyempre, di lang mo yung taka kasi na doon, mahunong na siya eventually, lugay lang. Magalahan man ka madali, pero di mo palabian ang imuhang inertial force so that di mo ma-overcome ang imong frictional force. Because we're talking here in a state of equilibrium. No? When we say equilibrium, all the forces acting on the object is equal to zero, or there is no net force. So if there is no net force, then therefore the object will not move. Okay, so ato siya nagsaon, manatay duha ka equation kay dapat sila duha mag-equal. Okay, so na kay frictional force must be equal to the force of inertia. But what is force of inertia? According to Newton, if there is a net force acting on an object, it causes the object to accelerate. Kung pasabot ka ni siya, ako ning wala pa man siya, bibiro, tuod ang duha ka force, iguali sila, di pa mag-accelerate, pero akong pinayan din niya, kapusga na ko din, ang may tabo na niya, move, yun na siya din. Diba? O kani, naman na siya friction niya. Once na hinay na kumagana, hindi na siya mahirog. Kapusga na ko na, mag-accelerate, yun na siya. Why? Because nirupigan ang friction to accelerate. So, kung sa may formula na, ang formula na niya is that, mo ni siya nitawag kong mass times the acceleration. Newton's second law of motion. Mo ni siya ang FI. Force of inertia. Now, what is the frictional force? Again, we discussed ito during the discussion of friction. Ang frictional force is equals to the coefficient of static friction times the normal force. Unsa man ang normal force? Normal force, kung wala pa makita sa video, normal force is the force that binds the two surfaces together. Friction man, we're talking about friction. When we say friction, may tabo lang na siya friction if there are two surfaces that are rubbing against each other. Muna na ay friction. Kung unsa ka kusog ang imuhang yunana, ang pagduot, mausad ka na po ang imuhang frictional force. Di ba? Kung di mo to again, kung anak ka niya, barely touch lang, gamay na kay force, di mo ipilit tumayo, di mo na kananahon, hindi kayo mong init ang imuhang kamot. But, kung imong iduot, di mo kananahon, dali kayo mong init. Yan naman, taas na ng normal force because the formula for friction is friction is equals to the coefficient of friction times the normal force. Tapos na siya muna ko ang frictional force kung malagkali mo ang normal force. Another, assuming na din yung malagkali normal force, imong ilisan ang surface. Like for example, kami, ako nga na gamay lang na friction. Why? Because this surface is sinaw. Gamay na siya o coefficient of friction. But, kung ilisan mo ng surface, o say for example, papel diliha, nigara mo sa kamot, mawala imong mga ubal. Eventually, mawala imong unon, mabot si mong bukog. Nga naman, kay taas siya ang coefficient of friction ang sandpaper as compared to ano niya. Okay? So, yun na siya. So, karon buta na tayo pa. Kung sa may mass, given ba ang mass sa steel girder? Wala. Wala yung given ang mass. Anyway, so magpunta na diyan mass times the acceleration. Kani, given ang coefficient of static friction? Given. That is 0.5. Ang normal force, pila may normal force? Usa may gaduot ang steel girder o sa floor? Ang usa nga force? Weight alin yan? Di ba? Kung usa ka bukaso ng steel girder, mo po na siyang gaduot. So kay weight man, sa formula sa may weight, that is mass times the acceleration due to gravity. Okay? Mass and mass can be cancelled. So, sa'yo nabili? Ang nabili nila is 0.5 times acceleration due to gravity, that is 9.81 meters per second squared. Is equals to acceleration. Times sa siya mo, therefore, acceleration, may nalingon akong butang ha, is equals to, times ako ni, 4.905 meters per second squared. Buot pasapot ala niya, kinahanglan ang acceleration mo must be 4.905 meters per second squared so that ang imong steel girder will not move. Okay? So that your steel girder will not move. Okay. Karon, nana kay acceleration. We are now, okay, because we are asked for the time, the minimum amount of time. Mangita ta diri og formula nga na time. Could be kami, could be kami. Kani, hindi siguro, but wala kang S. Ano ta sa ikaduha? Now, karon, kung sa may nasa ikaduha, initial velocity, nakata. Acceleration, nakata. Time, huwag lang itong isuwat, huwag lang itong sulbon. Kani, final velocity, na ba na? Hanawa sa problem. Given tong final velocity? Ha? Wala, masuwat. But hibota nga na final velocity. Nga naman, yung final velocity na to is, final velocity is 0. Nga nung 0 man? What is the minimum time in this track can come to a stop? So meaning, 0 ang yung final velocity. So we are going to make use of formula number 2. So we have 0 is equals to initial velocity, that is 100 kilometers. Sayop nito kung yan siya sa recording ganit. 100 kilometers per hour. But that is not what is asked by the problem. We have inconsistent unit. Because here we're using meters per second squared. So what are we going to do? Ato ko siyang i-convert. 1 kilometer is equals to 1,000 meters. Ay, Jayan ni Ross. Gusto format ba? Ba lang ko rin dong? Kadamon pa na mo. Sige, ugma na lang dong. Ugma na dong ha, ayan giling. Okay, so sayop tong previous nga sa recording kaya ako itong delete to rin, naghanap sayop ito eh. Sayop to kay wala na kong i-convert. Dapat i-convert kay inconsistent ang itong unit. Next. Napailain kay hour man, seconds man eh. We have hour boss, ari butang ang hour sa taas. 1 hour is equals to 3,600 seconds. Okay, kilometers cancel. Our cancel, ang itabo is meters per second na. Na napakay, sumpay niya, plus minus, napaman, 80. What is acceleration? 4.905 meters per second squared times time. Sumpay niya siya, kani siya, ano ni dire. Okay, so sa may tabuan ni Ron. Kita na itong calcio, na may calcio. Calcio ako no, 100,000 divided by 3,600. 100 times 1,000, 100,000 times 3,600 pila. O divided by 3,600. Ha? 100,000 divided by 3,600. 27.78. Ang unit na will be meters per second. Plus minus, kanina yung 4.905 meters per second squared times time. Okay, so sa sunod buhaton, kung saan ito gamiton? Plus or minus? Plus. Okay, primero, ako sa kanan 100. Ang mahimo siya na 0, eh 0 man ito kailangan velocity, ang ito gamiton nila is minus. Nagkana mo siya kainay. Muna nga acceleration siya. So minus. So therefore 0 is equals to 27.78 meters per second minus minus 4.905 meters per second squared times time. Okay? So sa ito sunod buhaton. Kani siya, kaya kung siya na variable times, bali na ito sa pikas. So ibalik sa pikas, may mo siyang 4.905 meters per second squared times time is equals to 27.78 meters per second. Okay? Kani, ibalik dito. So may tabo, time is equals to 27.78 meters per second divided by 4.905 meters per second squared. Meters cancel, second cancel. So that ang unit, 1 over second, ibalik sa babaw, mahimong seconds. 27.78 ko na divided by 4.905. 5.66 seconds. Answer. Okay, ito recording last time sa'yo. Sa'yo, kaya wala ko mag-convert, no? Sige, diba? Okay, nakasabot. Kasabot na mo, tanan. So, yun ano? Yun ano na, ang problema ko in the real world is yun ano, kanang word problem ba? Then, trabaho na to as an engineer to convert it into numerical problem so that we can apply our knowledge in mathematics. No? Dili pwede nga kana dito ko mo na niya. Ang real world problem ko man na solve for the following. Mo na find the integral of blah blah blah. Mo na ang real world problem. The real world problem is yun ani. Kita mo solve atong i-interpret and convert it into numbers. Okay, next, number 2. Sa number 2, ang problem, an 80-pound wooden crate rests on a horizontal wooden floor. Diba ka po, puro wood. Yung big note, malaylay ng material, malaylay ng tao, coefficient of friction. If the coefficient of static friction is 0.5, how much force is needed to set the force in motion? Or to set the crate in motion? So we have here a wooden crate. Siya sa wooden floor. Okay? Siyempre, ganahan mo ito diri. Ganahan ka ma-apply of force diri. Force. But of course, dili na siya basta-basta mulihok. Kaya nasa yung opposed diri, nga gitawag na ito frictional force. No. Again, mo niya kung gibuhat dili no. Gusto ta palihog pod. Dati siya malihog kay gipungan siya. Marami guna magtuon ka na imong pick-up na napawong ang na-weak ang battery di na mo start. Gusto na to pa itod ang multi-cap aron atong pag-andaron. We need a lot of force aron matod. Ingano man na siya friction. Okay. So dinhi mo na itabo. Okay. Kung igualis ang ilang duha ka force, dili gyud na pumog. Di pa siya mumog kung igualis ang duha ka force. But kung mulapas gamay ni ang metamo, this crate will accelerate forward. Okay? So assuming na nato ay igualis na nato, aron makita nato o pila gyud kinahanglan. Ang answer nato is malapasan nato ana. Okay? So we have F should be equals to frictional force. Okay? Or pwede to noun greater than frictional force. F should be greater than frictional force. Next, F should be greater than the frictional force na to is pila ito. Formula for friction is coefficient of friction times the normal force. Okay? For F is equals to coefficient of friction is equals to 0.5. Ang normal force is actually the weight, which is 80 pounds. 80 pounds. For F should be greater than 40 pounds. Answer. Kasabot? No, kasabot no? Aron nila ito mamo ang wooden crate na nagtimbang o 80 pounds. Yeah. Assuming that the coefficient of static friction is 0.5, we need to exert a force 40 pounds or higher than 40 pounds. Kung exert ka 40 pounds, di na malihok. Igualis mo sila in a state of equilibrium. O exert ka force na less than 80 pounds, 40 pounds, di ka po siya malihok. Ano man, wala man niya ma-overcome ang coefficient of static friction. But kung exert ka 41 pounds, malihok na siya. Accelerate. Okay? Okay, number 2. Or number 3. A car whose brakes are locked skids to a stop. Dagan ang car, i-lock ang brake, so minusin yung brake. Kung muno ang ligid, pag muno sa ligid, syempre yung skid siya, yung slide. So, mabanglos ba ang ligid? Skids to a stop in 200 feet. So, nanak mo na, car skids to a stop. Meaning, final velocity is 0. Distance is 200 feet. Okay? So, let us illustrate first. Okay. My car, direct, magdagan niya, dili, ang iyang velocity, initial velocity is 50 miles per hour. Dili, final velocity is equals to 0. Ang ginayon na niya is 200 feet. 5 equation of sliding friction. Siyempre, i-assume niya nga pag-ara niya, unang ginuligid, wag yun yung gainanay. Brake yun nga si brake, slide na siya, ibagnos, taas kayong kagi sa kasada. Pero saan na ito mag-find na? Again, we cannot find coefficient of sliding friction kung hindi na kay bawas niya acceleration. Because if we know the acceleration, we can easily apply the formula for friction. Okay? So, unsa may itong paon na unsa may unahon itong solve? Initial velocity, final velocity, wala gihatag na time, but gihatagan ta og distance. So, we can use unsa na formula? Ang first itong paon, solve na to ang time, but we are not audit, makabukang unknown, anak. Dahil time, dapat yung acceleration. Katulo itong gamiton, kaya wala time. Diba? So we have V squared is equals to VO squared plus minus 2AS. Okay, final velocity, 0. Initial velocity, 50 miles per hour. Again, inconsistent unit, miles, feet. Miles, feet. So, dapat i-convert natin into seconds. So, una na ito buhaton is mag-convert sa time. Okay, convert sa tadaan. 50 miles per hour is just equals to 1 mile, pinaka feet, 1 mile. 5,000. Hindi ko sure, durang 5,280. Ang ito natanahon sa libro, ako sigurado. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. 5,280 feet. Okay? Multiplied by 1 hour, 3,600 seconds. Take note ha, tanawa. Mile kayo sa babaw, ang sunod din mile na ito sa ubos, para matansel. Hour kayo sa ubos, ang dirin, hour sa babaw. Ano naman? Kaya ang mile divided by mile, cancel. Hour divided by hour, cancel. Mabilis na unit is feet per second. Okay? So next, times ko na namin. 50 times 5,280 divided by 3,600. Pila? 73.33. Unit would be? Feet per second. Okay? Anak kay initial velocity. You can now put that here. Velocity squared, ang initial velocity mo is 73.33 feet per second squared. Sa manili, hinihinay ni kusog. Diba? Hinihinay ni kusog. Hinihinay, it comes to a stop man, minunong man. So, hinihinay man, minus kaya po. Minus 2 times acceleration at akibalo times 200 feet. Okay? Zero man eh. Kalisiya, bali na ito din. Sabihin mo siyang positive. 2 times acceleration o 2 times 200, that is 400. 400 feet A is equals to, kanina square ko nun eh. Itong answer niyo kanina din eh. Dx squared. Sila. 5,000 point 29 unit would be feet squared per second squared.